would love to say that Nigeria is moving retrogressively now, meaning that we're moving backward. Now, of course, before now, there's of agitations that Nigerian economy is one of the best economy in Africa. But as of today, I must state clearly that we're number 41 in the Nigerian economy as of today. As at last week, as at last weekend, I have my facts. Of course, my name is Comrade Talib, and a graduate of Tertiary University of Education Economics. Now, I would say that justifying my points as the fact that Nigeria is moving retrogressively, I would say that it is based on moving out of our priority. Now, the main purpose of which we say that there is an economical development is because the level of productivity in that country keeps increasing, and of course, that is the level of growth. So, when we say that the level of growth in a country is increasing, then that means that the level of development has been on the higher side, which then means that the level of imports the level of exports exceeds the level of imports. Now, I don't know if I get so our exports should at least be on an increase side. So before you can say a country is moving or a country is progressing, it then means that the country must have some certain things they are producing. But here in Nigeria, we spend money on election, we spend money on things that doesn't concern. We spend a lot of money on allowances for sitting down. Now, such that and unemployed Nigerians do not even have the time to think. I don't know if there's no structural adjustment program such that we help the youth to even create values, to even create utilities, to even create a particular product that will help in the advancement of the country. So, of course, when we talk about the developed country, we talk about countries that produce. Now, when you tag, it was noted that in China, the Techno Infinix that we use are produced by students of secondary schools and practical courses for them. So, such that in Nigeria, even in our educational settings, we must come back to a practical aspect and the theoretical aspect, whereby we go to our class. Some of us are not pragmatic. We go to our class, learn all of these things, then come back to practicalize it. Now, you tell me that economics can be defined as a social science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means. Some of us cannot defend it. They only know the definition, but they cannot define how it's needed to be put in place. So I feel that going back to my justification that the level of growth, the level at which we produce will, of course, affect the level of our development. So Nigeria needs to produce. Nigeria needs to create values. Nigeria needs to export more rather than import before we can say we are moving in the country as a summit.
It's a capital no, because so far Nigerians have not been enjoying what they are supposed to enjoy. You see, I'm a student and research has it that just 7.1% was budgeted to education sector, and the 7.1% is to cater for over 50 million Nigerian students. And ASU in 2013 asked for 1.1 trillion naira from the federal government to run universities for 5 years. But according to Punch newspaper, over 17,000 politicians, political office holders collect 1.3 trillion naira annually. And of course, as Nigerians, we have to ask ourselves, who are these guys supposed to serve? Is it people that are in office or the future generation that they are supposed to invest in? And of course, if you should check the health sector too, it's nothing to write to me about to just like 71 billion naira was budgeted for over 180 million Nigerians. And of course, few months ago, like 6 or 7 months ago, we had a news that the president was out of the country for close to probably 3 months or probably a month or so. And of course, over billions of naira was spent in London for his treatment. And of course, if hadn't been the government has actually funded these sectors very well, there will be no need for the president to in fact leave the country in the first place. But unfortunately, we have leaders that they are driven by their own interest and not the interest of the leaders. And of course, when Buhari was to emerge in 2015, he came about the campaign of change. Of course, to me, it's a propaganda because in the recent Nigerians are not even enjoying the change at all. You see, I even read something not quite long that it was Buhari that stopped the feeding and bursting of a Nigerian student, and that was in 1984 when he was the head of state in 1984. was the same person that stopped the payment of bursary and also the feeding of university students, and that was in 1984. And of course, in this same country, this same 2018 too, Buhari is still our president too, and of course, of his policies so far has not been favouring Nigerians. And of course, we just had this news again that one doctor Wale Babalakin, who unfortunately is an academia, is even proposing that students should be paying over 350,000 naira for students in arts and humanities, and for sciences they should be paying 500,000 naira. And we have to start connecting the dots that in a country where 2,000 naira is being paid for minimum wage, how do you expect students to survive by paying 350,000 naira to 500,000 naira? And we have to understand that the main motive for doing all these things is that they want to make education unaffordable for children of the masses. And when education is unaffordable, Nigerians will not be able to even get themselves liberated. So in fact, we as Nigerians now at this stage, we have to understand that these leaders are not for us, and we must be ready to take our future in our own hands. And of course, election is coming in 2019. Nigerians must be ready to see for the real alternative, not the propaganda from APC, not the propaganda from PDP. And Nigerians must be ready to, in fact, to join any revolutionary party that is in fact going to take Nigeria back from the oppressive class, and of course people that don't have the interest at that. So in a word, I would like to reiterate again that Nigeria at 58, Nigerians have not even been enjoying what are supposed to enjoy.
Actually, that is a capital no, in the sense that if you have to look at it from the very sectors of the Nigerian country as a whole, take it from I'm a student. Let's start from the education sector. We still have a situation in the country whereby the institutions in the countries are underfunded. Most of our primary basic primary schools are nothing to write home about, as a matter of fact. And even the secondary schools are being, except for secondary schools who have notable alumni who are actually funding the schools. So you would see that there is even nothing to take a look at it. So an issue of acceptance fee, whereby some institutions have to start increasing acceptances yearly. And we have been we are even trying to challenge the legality of acceptance fee, as a matter of fact, whether it is legal or not. So these are the things which we have to look at it. And even at that, even in security wise, you can say a situation whereby a country doing in the 21st century, whereby people are being killed across the country, like what happened recently about 2 days ago, and even as of yesterday at Plateau State. Some people are being killed, and we still have the president of the country being busied with his 2019 the election bid. Would you agree with me that our country has been better off by then? Even the Awolowo of then, in the as early as we attained independence, they were busy with how to create a foundation towards which Nigeria will go at a pace by which we can attain a standard at the global level. So we can see that even at security wise we have failed. Politically, this country is still backward. When there are certain issues that are critical to when the president of the nation finds a pride in seeking medical attention outside the shore of the country, you can see that this thing needs not to be debated, that this country is still far away backward. So for me to conclude, is as simple as Nigeria has not witnessed any growth.
The simple truth is that Nigeria is not in any way better off. In fact, Nigeria is socio-economically retrogressive presently. Because I can't understand in 2018 when a country would be borrowing money from China, borrowing money that you are not using to develop your industry. You are not using it for industrial development. You are using this money, I don't know, you're using it for probably they are borrowing money when election is coming up, or probably for their own extortion, as they've been doing for years. This is a country where we don't produce things. maybe the only things we produce here is just matches. We import cars, we import phones, we import almost everything. So how do you want such a country to get developed at all? Such a country can't get developed. Now, there are some recent happenings in the school I just graduated from, Olabi Obanjo University. The acceptance fee is 60,000 naira. While I got into school, it was 40k, 40,000 naira. Now it's 60,000 naira. When minimum wage is 18,000 naira, how do they expect people to afford such price? Paying 60,000 naira for school fees, then you pay hostel fee of 90,000 naira for the private hostels, and 75,000 naira for males and 56,000 naira for females for the school-owned hostels, and you still pay a school fee running into 140,000 naira. This is a state-owned school, Olabisi Onabanjo University. So how do you expect people to afford this? Now, talking about socio-economic retrogression, the country is underdeveloped. Yeah, some people call it developing, but to me, I say the country is underdeveloped. Because, okay, is it on the issue of road or light? We don't have any. It's getting worse by the day. Every year, 4 years ago, people are even saying the country was better 4 years ago. It is not that PDP was better than APC, but because these two parties are even, comprises of same set of people. But the truth is that the country is getting worse by the day, and it is not the change in leadership will not be what would change it. It is the change in our social political system that would develop this country. You have to, we have to have a people's government that care about the people and not just care about their own pocket. People's government that care about the development of Nigeria, and I think if Nigeria gets developed, Africa itself, in a whole, will get developed.
As it stands now, I don't think we have any true independence. The reason is because after we gain independence from the British colonial masters, we enter another colonialism under the Nigeria political ruling elite. Uh, True independence can only come if the Nigerian masses are ready to revolt against the ruling elite. Because these ruling elite are the ones that are amassing the commonwealth that are supposed to be for the general populace to themselves. So this ruling elite, instead of them to be providing the basic and social amenities that will be useful for the Nigerian populace, they are using it to gather wealth for themselves. So I will not say that we are independent fully because we have some self-imposed colonialism and imperialism. So the only way we can gain independence is when we have a total system change. And that total system change can only come if the Nigerian masses, the Nigerian populace, if they can resist and reject this democracy we are practicing. Because this democracy we are practicing is not for the people. It is for the elite, by the elite and to the elite. So if the Nigerian masses are ready to vote, then that is the only when we can have a true independence. So that is just it.
Freedom cometh by struggle. Freedom comes by struggle, by struggle. Freedom comes. Development cometh by struggle. Development comes by struggle, by struggle. Freedom comes.